Welcome back to my channel. I'm Mark Phillips, and if you are new here on this channel, we talk about business and lifestyle design from the inside out, a lot of law of attraction and manifestation principles. So if you're into that, please consider subscribing and turn on the bell if you want to be notified when new videos come up. In this specific video, I had a conversation with my good friend Tifane Falvey, and I am kind of exploring a new type of content that I'm looking at putting up on the channel, which is much more conversational, more fun, a little more open in the scope of the video, the scope of the conversation, much less so than something you find on Enhancing the Human Experience podcast, where I'm specifically talking with my guests about their work and how it can be beneficial to you on your journey. But a little more open in this content, more talk show-ish, and a little more free in that sense. So if that's something you like, leave me a thumbs up. That would be super awesome. I would really appreciate it. So in this video, we also talk a lot about the power of being, right? And you know I'm a huge fan of the power of being if you've listened to the channel for any length of time. And to that point, I want to invite you to check out justbeitbook.com and check out the PDF or the Amazon Kindle book there. But also on that website, there are 2 free downloads that I want to share with you. One of them is called Being is Your Superpower, and that's a collection of video clips and audio clips and some quotes in there as well of real statements, real stories from real life people who've discovered the power of being and reinvented themselves to attract the experiences they want to have in their business and their life. I love that little collection of books. It's version 1 currently. I'm about to put out version 2 in the next couple of months because I've acquired more clips, more videos of people sharing their experience. And the reason I offer this to you is because it can be challenging to realize that this really does work, that what you are comes to you, right? This is the great message from Emerson and a lot of other metaphysicians and New Thought era movement people, but really it spans across genres. It's not just from the New Thought movement. It's not just from the law of attraction or just from manifestation people. Every successful person had to reinvent themselves in order to create the life and the business that they want. I mean, bar none. It has to occur because the life that you have is because of who you are. The life that you want will be because of who you will become, right? So it spans genres, it spans industries, it spans profession. It's just the way that life is, right? We create from within, and then as we become more, we attract more, right? Jim Rohn talked about it. He said that success isn't something that you do, it's something that you become, right? The person you become attracts the success that you have in life. And so in this video, we talk a lot about that, the power of being. And this is something that I'm constantly reminding myself of on my own journey. In fact, just the other day, I thought about this. As we focus too much in the external world of the situations and circumstances that are happening, and we think, well, that's the way things are. Well, that's not the way things are, right? Every one of us has the ability to consciously create our lives. In fact, Emmett Fox said that life is a state of consciousness, and it's a state of mindset, as we'll talk about in this video. So I just want to remind you of that. Again, I'm constantly reminding myself of that principle because we have the power within us to live an abundant life, live a prosperous life, succeed, have the relationships that we want, have the health that we want. But we have to be that way. We have to live in the end, as Neville Goddard talks about. So I just want to invite you to check out justbeitbook.com because that's what that whole book is about. It's filled with a bunch of tools and exercises and kind of like a mini course attached to the book, which is available through a link in the book, in the Kindle version or the PDF version. And I find it to be one of the most important pieces of knowledge to remember as a human being. So without further ado, let's jump in and have this conversation with Tifane. I know you're going to enjoy it. Again, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it.
Tiff, how are you today?
Good morning, Mark. I'm great. It's
Awesome.
my birthday.
It is your birthday. Happy freaking birthday. I totally spaced that. I mean, I have it in my calendar, but happy birthday.
Thanks.
Awesome. How's the birthday going so far?
It's been great. I got up and I had a cup of coffee outside with the hummingbirds, and we have some wild rabbits that bounce around our hood.
Those rabbits. Are they eating your vegetable? Are they eating your garden yet, or?
No, they haven't.
Dude, be careful. They are freaking terrors. They're cute as heck, but they're terrors.
I know, that's what I've heard. A friend of mine told me the same thing. So
Yeah, you got to be careful. Because
I've
once
been,
they find out, they're going to tell all their little buddies that there's like a free salad bar over at the house there.
they've already told their buddies. They're around. I'm creating some boundaries for them.
Because their noses is always sniffing, right? They're always like looking for new fresh.
But you can't help but think they're adorable. That's the problem.
They are adorable. They are, but you know, they're like the cutest thing in the world. But beneath that, they will destroy a garden in no time flat.
Yeah, that's true. Their
Yeah.
intentions, they're not pure.
They're not pure. They're cute as heck, but they are just little, crazy. So yeah, happy birthday. Awesome.
Thanks.
Birthday in quarantine. I mean, what's going to change this year from last year?
It's interesting. I was talking to my son this morning and I said, we don't know what's going to happen with school, and it's a really great time to be alive because it's like a roller coaster ride. Really, you can just enjoy every single day as it comes. And I could kind of feel he had some of that getting ready to start school stress,
Yeah.
like I want to go school shopping. I want to be prepared. I want to get my school supplies. And I'm thinking, slow down.
Yeah.
We don't know what the rest of today brings, let alone tomorrow. And I think we don't teach our kids to live like that. I mean, we weren't taught to live like that, right? You're always thinking of the future, down to you can't go out this weekend unless your room's clean type thing. I mean, we're never really in the moment. So I think it's a fun opportunity for us as parents to teach our kids not to look forward, just to live in today and to let tomorrow unfold and unfurl in the way that it's going to, without an expectation, without fear. And I mean, that's kind of the lesson that we should all live and breathe by every single day. And it's a practice. I guess it's a practice because it's not easy. Humans in general they're kind of nesters. They're gatherers. They want to gather, they want to provide, they want to save for the winter. Winter's on its way. Once the end of August gets here, winter's on its way. And I think as a metaphor, that's what it's like for life. We want to gather our money before we hit. I mean, there's that joke that they say that men in their 50s are like little squirrels. And they're like,
yeah,
I mean,
because
that's when the severe prenups come out. when men hit their 50s, they're like,
right.
Okay, I have been working hard as a little squirrel, and those nuts were not easy to come by, and I've put them all in my little tree, and the last thing that they want is some little wabbit to come in
and eat all their nuts, right?
As cute as that rabbit tail is, that bushy little white tail, they're like, I'm not having any of that. Thank you very much.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, once they look and see they've got some nuts stored away, they're like, I got to protect these nuts here, right? I got to be careful.
Well, and I think they should. They should. And I think that, as women, as we have an opportunity to go out and gather our own nuts, because nuts don't just belong to men.
No, they don't. Right. But that's the right. In one way they do, but in the larger scheme, but that's historically kind of been how it's portrayed, but it's not true, I mean,
it's not true. We're living in a time where women have just as much opportunity to gather, to collect and gather, and to invest and to build their portfolio. And I'm not implying that women should do that, because there's also an amazing role that a woman has in regards to creating, I would say, the nest for the eggs, right? So there are some amazing partnerships that have been created that are very equally distributed for the long run, whether or not the relationship is meant to last the duration of their lives or not. They're still mutually respectful in that way, because I know that as a nut gatherer myself, I recognize the value of the people that come into my life that help me, whether it be my house cleaner or my massage therapist or the amazing lady that does my nails. All of that is so important to me being able to do what I do. And I want to make sure that those people know how valuable they are. And so Yeah.
Well, and I've talked to a number of my female friends, you included, that just because you're a woman doesn't mean you don't want to be of service and you don't want to follow your passion. You don't want to be part of the world. I mean, for many years, that's how it was. Like, okay, here's your roles and go do them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Women have things they want to contribute. I can't tell you the number of successful women on my inspiration board, business women, spiritual women, whatever. And I have men and women on there, but I got to tell you, everyone can inspire one another. Everyone can serve. And that's where that real joy comes in. And I think for many years, women kind of missed out on that bigger service. Not that being a family, not that raising a family and doing the homework isn't important, but there's more we can do. There's more they wanted to do.
Well, I think that it just depends on the type of, well, if we're going to talk gender, it's not gender specific though, honestly. It's just whatever it is that you find most satisfying. And I know a lot of men that are incredible homemakers, like legit. They're amazing chefs. They're amazing at running a home, really just running it. And I think that if that's your zone of genius, if that's where you derive the most passion, then that's where you should be. And you should be compensated well, not just monetarily, but also from an emotional perspective. And when we stray from that, so if we're a mom that feels like her role should be at the home, but we have all of these other desires, whether that be to be out in the workforce or to be an aerospace engineer or whatever that is, and we're not following that passion, then we're going to be at a deficit. We're going to be robbing from our bank account, whether that's a monetary robbing system or an emotional robbing system. But, speaking of inspiration, a friend of mine recently turned me on to this gal on Instagram, the Naked Yoga Girl. And let me tell you, her hot bod pops up every single morning. And I look at it as if it's a fine piece of artwork. I
know her, yes.
And I feel inspired. And it's, it's like one of those things, like my shirt's all velvety. I just want to touch her. I just want to touch the beauty of this woman and what she's creating. And you look at someone like that and you say, hey, just one day she woke up and she said, this is who I am. This is the artwork. I am the artwork. I'm not creating the artwork. I am the freaking artwork. And she goes out there. I inspire anyone listening to go check her out, just because it's a beautiful display of humanness, of just what the human body is capable of. And also it's an essence. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, and I've been thinking a lot about this lately as we go on our own path deeper into the cave that holds our treasure. And by treasure, I mean our most enjoyment and the thing we came to express and the thing that's going to resonate most with other people. I think it's the perfect path in life to just keep going deeper in that cave and find out what wants to come through you and what wants to be expressed. It's exciting.
It's almost like you have to allow yourself to be both the cave and the bright light, the opening of the cave simultaneously. So you have to allow yourself to be extracting all of the wisdom that is hidden away within the cave. And then you just immediately create a channel for it to come out, not just into your life, but into the lives of everyone around you. And then we circle back to the authenticity thing that you and I have been talking about quite a bit lately. And I imagine one of the best ways of becoming more authentic is going into that cave.
Yeah.
Or at least having access to it, right?
Right. And I think about this all the time, because in my own work and in my own journey, I think, how can I, in my own way, share this information with younger generations so that they get where they want to be, which is fully expressing themselves, digging out their treasure, or just going to the cave and getting treasure pieces and being valuable and having enough abundance in the world. Because we learn so much carnal knowledge, and I'm not saying that's bad, but I think we learn minuscule. We don't learn enough, like how to go to our cave, internal cave that each of us has, an abundance of opportunities, an abundance of things to share and work in the world. And I want to help other kids get there faster, because I think, especially now in the world where systems are collapsing, businesses are having struggles, people are trying to find new ways of making money, right? And finding prosperity and abundance. And it's all, I think it's all within. That's why I think it's so exciting. Those other structures are falling, where we're now going to come online to the mind, so to speak, the diamond mind that all of us has, an individual. And that's where I think the real magic is. It's not out there in these man-made systems. What's your thoughts?
You're right. I do. I agree with you. I think that that's where we're at, is we're having to adapt. We have no choice. And we're seeing so many companies, especially small businesses, that don't have the help to adapt, right? They haven't done these processes that you're talking about. They haven't extracted who they are underneath everything. And they also haven't looked around at the new paradigm that has quite literally, like a snow globe, just landed on us in 2020. And so they find themselves in the old paradigm making decisions for the new paradigm. And then, just like a sandcastle on the beach, it's just getting washed clear, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I understand as a small business owner myself, it can feel bad when you see the change in paradigm, because you've worked your whole life to become successful in one paradigm. It's almost like playing cards or chess, and all of a sudden they change the rules on you. You can imagine how challenging that is.
Yeah. The game board is constantly being tossed.
Understand. Yeah. Yes. And so now all of a sudden they've moved the whole board, and they've changed the rules, and you're struggling because where do you go to learn what the new rules are? Who's teaching the new rules?
Mm-hmm. Well,
right.
And so it's so true. And the other thing that comes up is this idea of reinventing yourself. And we're all on the journey ourselves. And it doesn't matter whether you're a business. I see this in creators and businesses. Periodically, they've got to reinvent themselves, because what they're doing gets old and tiresome, and it loses its magic, right? The fruit that they've grown, whether it's, I recently looked at the GoPro story, and they were huge, and then they're kind of going on the downhill slide now, and there's questions of what's going to happen with that company, right? You see this cycle. It's like, but the companies that survive and stay relevant, they're the ones that are constantly reinventing, constantly staying on the edge of that. I'm not a surfer, but I'm going to use the analogy, on the edge of that wave, so the wave doesn't crash and burn them.
Or not even crash and burn. I would say that if you look at the life cycle of a wave, it eventually just evens out into nothing, right?
Right.
And so I see that in a lot of relationships or marriages. It's like, how do you stay innovative in your marriage? How do you keep it spicy as if you were having an affair with your partner? How do you do that? And a lot of people don't know how to do that either. They don't feel it, right? They don't feel it. After a certain amount of years, the lingerie doesn't matter anymore.
Right. Yeah, you get into routine, almost like, right? And you're just like, and you and I talked about this with the Joe Dispenza stuff, and I think it's fascinating, where it's like, stop being the person, just stop up going on autopilot, right? And reinvent and renew yourself, right? Otherwise, it's like Groundhog Day, and I think about that a lot lately too, because in your business, in your personal life, you don't want to repeat the same conversations with the friends you've had, eat the same food, do the same thing. That's not a super awesome life, in my opinion.
And you've got to pick the fresh fruit too, whether that's the fruit that's growing within you or the fruit that's growing around you, because you can't just, live your life from the time that you were really successful and you've gathered and accumulated all this fruit, and it's sitting in your big fruit bowl, and it looks beautiful for a while. We all know it looks beautiful for a while, and then all of a sudden you're looking at it, it's not the same color, it's starting to become a little muted, and then you pick up a piece of fruit and it's covered in white mold on the bottom, and you're like, oh my God. So you want to keep cycling that out all the time. And we have that within. We have that energy within that can become stagnant if we don't, pick the new fruit and cycle out the old. I do that with flowers in my house. I'm consistently every single week buying new flowers, recycling the old. And I've had people say, but there's that one flower, nothing's wrong with it. And I say, you're right. I'm going to trim that one flower. I'm going to put it in its own little teeny tiny vase, and the rest are going to go. And then I keep an eye on it, because I think that it's terrible feng shui to have things that are dying and decaying around your home, whether that be a plant. I go into businesses and I see these plants, and they're literally dying, and I'm thinking to myself, can you not see that? Are you just looking away from it? Because I mean, you don't have to keep the plant. You can get rid of it or care for it. So if you have a business, you don't have to keep it. But if you choose to keep it, care for it, adapt to the new system, which is, I mean, a lot of it's remote right now. A lot of the products that, there was an article that just came out that was talking about how we finally made that shift to where the online retail business is now exponentially higher than the brick and mortar stores. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you about
We've
where we're
adapted, and for many years it was like, people were like, I'd never buy anything online. I can't even imagine buying a pair of pants online. I can't even imagine buying a shirt online. Now it's common. Human beings can adapt, but it does require that constant focus. I mean, this idea of the human brain wants to go put as many things on autopilot as it can so that it just can kind of be habitual and use less energy.
Right.
But that's also the downfall and the detriment to being a human, because we have this ability to put things on autopilot, but you don't want to put your life on autopilot.
No, and
unfortunately, it happens.
Even me, we had a package about, it might have been 2 years ago now. You know how time just somehow passed by. We had a package delivered by Amazon accidentally. My son opened it up, just not thinking, and it was a thing of Tide soap, right? And I remember thinking, what the hell? Why would someone order from Amazon? Because to me, Amazon's kind of juicy. Like, you get exciting things from Amazon.
Yeah, you're not going to get laundry soap and or
dishwasher tabs or cereal or whatever. But it really shifted my brain. And now I order all of it. Now I also order it online. You don't have to worry about shipping. It shows up right at your house. It's a beautiful thing. And what better time than now during a pandemic where a lot of people are feeling fear and anxiety and going out? How cool is it that you can get the staples?
Yeah.
You can get Q-tips. I mean, who would have thought
and you don't have to waste your time going out to the store, because time is our most valuable asset. I think about that all the time, like anything from pen refills to little like office supplies and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go there. Sometimes it's nice to go and do some shopping and see what cool tech there is and stuff. But other times you're like, well, I got 50 things that I'd rather be doing. I don't want to go shopping right now.
Well, one of my most valuable mentors that I've had in life, I remember he said to me once, this is going to sound really crude, but it's what he said. He said, Tiff, he was juggling a lot of different problems that were coming to him. His secretary was bringing him problems, and he was having all of these little tiny irrelevant things that he was trying to fix. He said, I feel like I'm juggling dog shit right now because I'm here to make money. I'm not here to solve these problems. Like, how many people should this dinner reservation be? Or this person can't figure out how to get their car in the shop. Or it was just all these random things. And it dawned on me that when you're good at making money, you probably shouldn't be the one that's making the reservations for the restaurant or figuring out how to change the reservation for the restaurant or making sure that there's a vegan meal at the restaurant. You should probably pay someone else to do that. And they probably would love to do it. They're all on top of that. And it causes them to feel value in what they're good at. I work with this gal who's just an amazing office assistant. And she's like an office manager, and she's so great at what she does. She can juggle 50 different things at once. And who wouldn't want to hire someone like that to take care of all of the things that you don't want to take care of? And she's great at it. Like, that's her gig. That's what she does.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. One, everyone has their zone of genius and where they fit in the world, this diversity that makes the world happen. But two, this has been huge on my radar lately, is this removing distractions. I don't know about you, but being a Google person, I get notifications on the Google News. I know exactly what's happening in the Ellen DeGeneres case. And you know what? Had to the realization the other day, I was like, I don't care. I cannot keep following this stuff. And I don't know how it comes off, because I'm a person who runs with minimal to no notifications. I don't want any push notifications because I want focus, right?
Yes.
So I had to go in and turn them off again, because even though I don't have a push notification, it still shows up when I turn my phone off. And I was like, you know what? I can't deal with it anymore. And I had like a breakdown the other day. I was like, I need to tune it out. And I think everyone needs to tune it out, because everyone has something that wants to come through them, and they don't need the distraction of the 50,000 little things that are going on in the world. It's noise. It's so much noise, and it's detrimental.
Well, the way that I think about it is my daughter's a really amazing chef. And when she's in the kitchen, you can text her and she'll never get your text, right? You can call her and she'll never get it, because she literally is so focused. She's got her sleeves rolled up and her hands are in the dough and in the flour and in the amazing thing that she's creating, right? She wouldn't ever dream. Now, part of it's logistically, right? But she wouldn't dream of picking up that phone ever, because what she's creating is time sensitive, first of all. It requires her to be focused. If she were to just step away for a half hour, the thing that she's baking or cooking is not going to turn out the way that she wants it. And so our lives are like that. Our relationships are like that, right? If we turn away from our relationships, what happens? They start to turn flat, right? We don't have the rising ability in our careers or in our relationships if we're not going to stay focused. And, at the end of the day, I'm sure there are some people that are, closer to Ellen. I gotta get all the sun. Let me find there's some people that are really interested in some of that, but it's just gossip, really, at the end of the day. You can never know what's going on in the celebrities' lives. You can't really know, right? And we know that the media skews things and they deliver it that they want to deliver it. And I'm not placing any guilt or exemption on anyone. I'm saying we don't know. And if we don't know, then why would we even bother wasting our time or our energy trying to figure it out when it's really irrelevant to the creativity to what we're cooking in the kitchen, right? What my neighbor's cooking in the kitchen, I mean, it might smell good. And if I'm interested in cooking that, then I better walk my ass over there and ask them what they're cooking and get the recipe. I don't really care what Ellen's cooking up.
You hit the nail on the head. You totally you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly it. Like, Ellen is one of my inspirations, by the way, and I've gained a lot of inspiration and motivation from her. But you're right. It's the constant barrage of the play-by-play that is distracting human beings from creating what wants to come through them, right? Creating their empire or building what they want in the world. And I just finally had enough, and I was like, I'm done. And I turned those notifications off, because you're right. It's the news that's keeping it. I wish Ellen and everyone related to that whole show all the best, but I cannot take my energy and constantly follow it.
The way I think about it is it's entertainment. So let's say that I'm cooking something amazing and I'm done cooking and I want to sit down and I want to be entertained. I scroll through Facebook and I'm telling you, it is endless entertainment, and I get to pick the channel. Yeah. I mean, it could be Joe Blow on Facebook. It could be Naked Yoga Girl on Instagram. It could be G. Mark Phillips with his podcast. I mean, it could be anything, right? But when I've got my sleeves rolled up and I am in my zone and I'm creating and I am helping and I am healing and I am doing what I do best, the last thing that I want to do is be peeking over to the left or to the right to figure out what my neighbor is doing, or hell, half of these people I don't know on Facebook. I have no idea who they are, especially even on LinkedIn, because it's all a facade anyway. I mean, we're talking about the media, but on LinkedIn, you see these things. And, way back in the day when I first got LinkedIn and I would see someone say, hey, started a new position, I would reach out to them and I would be like, hey, congratulations. And, either I would never hear anything back, right? So they weren't even interested in engaging. Or it was like, yeah, I started that position a year ago. I just updated it in my LinkedIn.
Right.
So it's not even in real time. So a lot of the stuff that the media is delivering to us, it's not in real time. It's something
and they just want you to go onto their platform. And you're right. Those people, they may not even be on LinkedIn for weeks at a time,
Exactly.
What I'm noticing is everyone wants our attention these days. And the real magic comes when we focus on the one thing that we came here to do. I think a lot about Steve Jobs' quote, and it's relevant to anyone in any path of life. He said that Apple's success is built upon the idea that they focused on one thing, and they could have got into every business, but they said no to so many things. And all of us have to say no to so many things and do one thing. Even going back to friends or family or other opportunities, if we do everything, if we become that master of everything, master of all things, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none, right? If we do everything and meet with all of our friends and go have coffee with everyone we know, end of the day, we've accomplished nothing other than maintained those, which is valuable if that's what you want to do. But sometimes we have to let all the other balls drop and do one ball, you know?
Okay, well, let's talk about this for a second. So my Apple products, I'm an Apple girl and I have Apple products. They are so freaking sexy, right? You get a brand new Apple product and you just want to pet it and you want to caress it.
Mm-hmm. Sleep with it.
You really do. I just got a new Apple phone and it's green, which is my color green. And I look at the 3 little camera lenses and I'm like, you're so pretty. And I think about when we make love to someone, right? We don't want to divert our attention or energy, and nor do we want to try 5 positions at once. We don't. We want to stay focused on the one that we're in the moment. And that's why I've never really understood 69. I mean, it's like you want to just be focused and have one job, one role, right?
Yeah.
And instead of trying to throw so many hats into the arena, why not just enjoy and relish the moment of whatever that role is that you're doing? Because that genuinely is how we make love.
That's interesting.
If we're kissing, we're kissing, right? If we're receiving, we're receiving. If we're giving, we're giving. It's very challenging to put yourself in multiple roles and be successful at it. And so, like Apple, right? They've stayed within their genre. They've stayed even within their framework of this sleek product. It is what it is, right? They haven't gone too far out. Where you see other products that I almost feel like the products represent the way we are as humans, where they say, oh, wait, this isn't working. I need to dig for my gold in another hole. Oh, wait, that's not working. So you see products come out with one thing and then something that's so different, you wouldn't even recognize it's that product. And you go, whoa,
right.
This, Sony makes that? Interesting. Or, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what brand it is, but you wouldn't necessarily look at it and know that that's the brand of it. Clothing is like that as well. Some of the most successful companies, you take one look at it and you're like, yep. Art is the same way. I mean, I remember taking art in college and our final exam was to identify the artist based on these slides, right? We had to write down the artist and it was ridiculously simple.
If they're staying authentic to who they are and they're in their zone, but if they deviate off, it's like, that's, we start to imitate other people. The successful people in any industry, they're the ones that do one thing and they go really freaking deep and they only do one freaking thing. They may do another thing down the road, but it's like, that's the thing with our world right now. It's so easy to do everything that very few people go deep anymore. And that's where the mine is.
Take dating. Take the way that we're dating these days. I mean, we're swiping and we're swiping and we're swiping. And a lot of people do swiping the way that they fish with a dredge net. They're not fishing with a pole. So they're swiping and they're swiping and they're swiping. But the thing is, when you look at everyone that they've swiped on, you think the person is like multiple personalities, because how could they possibly be attracted to this person and this person, because they are not even in the same genre. Where, I have a type. I see that type and I'm like, bam, right?
Well, I think that's because
the essence.
You've done the work of the inner journey and knowing yourself. So you're not going to go out and cast a big net and catch all these, fish, right? You know what you're fishing for. You got the bait on that catches that fish. A lot of people, it's like that. That's the paradox of choice, right? We have everything at our fingertips, and a lot of people are freaking unhappy, right?
Right. I mean, in business, I think that less can be more, as long as the less is high quality. It's top shelf. So you look a lot of the top shelf alcohol companies, and they don't have to have 50 different products. right? They just need to start out with one very high quality product that delivers. And so the question is, how can you as a human being be an incredibly high product that delivers consistently? You know, you don't want to, like, if I went to buy my favorite whiskey, I want to know that it's going to taste like my favorite whiskey every time I buy it. If like every third bottle was shit, that would not be fun for me. And I would stop buying the product because I want consistency. You know, some of the restaurants now have their limited COVID menu, which is fine. That's a limited COVID menu, but it takes a little while to get on board with that because you've had your thing that you've been ordering for the last 10 years, it could be, and now it's not there.
Right. It's that constant change. And but you're right. Back to the alcohol thing, like quality over quantity is always, in my opinion, better. Some people are all about the quantity. They don't mind going out on, 5 different dates with 5 different people in a week. And to me, that kind of seems nightmarish. It's nice to meet new people, but
hey, let's discuss this for a second. There are a couple, if we're just going to stay on the booze subject, there are a couple companies that create a very low end alcohol, whether that's hard alcohol or whether it's beer or wine. And because they're very, very consistent in the product, it does very well. And those companies are very successful because people know what they're getting and they know the price that they're getting it for. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. And okay, so we'll go back to dating for a second. If you represent yourself as a top shelf and then you get into the relationship and it turns out you're a bottom shelf, that's a problem. And it's also a problem if you happen to see someone that you think has the potential to be a top shelf. And so you invest in that, hoping that someday they'll be the top shelf. Or
and they don't come up.
Or if you yourself recognize, because this happens as well, you're not a top shelf. You just know you're not. And you see something that's at a top shelf, but you're not rising with that. What does it take to be a top shelf? What does that mean? What does that mean for you, Mark, to be a top shelf human being?
Well, one being super true and authentic. Back to that mind, there's a diamond mine within all of us. I've got to be on that game every day. And plus, we talk about this, recreating who I want to be, what I want to be, what character I want to play in this game of life, right? Staying true to myself, doing what is fun, being in the spirit of joy, being courageous. Those are part of it to be top shelf.
And so for someone else, that's their top shelf. So we don't even have to label it like here to here. The shelf can be more like here, and it doesn't really matter where you're at on the shelf. But if you represent purely and honestly and authentically, then you're going to match up, whether that's professionally or whether that's personally. You're going to match up and you're going to be successful no matter what.
Right. And the thing that just came to mind is like the shelf isn't relative to other people. It's individual, because say you're a coder and you're deep into the computer world, you're certainly not going to maybe be on the same shelf in the same kind of like stature as say a cover model or a supermodel, but you got your own game, and as long as you stay in your own lane, you're going to be just as paired, right? Just as desirable. It's an individual thing, in my opinion.
Right. And so we attract the clientele that are searching for what we're giving. We attract the lovers that are searching for who we are, right? When we are authentic. And I would say that might be the biggest disease that's running rampant right now around the country, is that people want to represent something other than who they are because they think, if I do, I'll have what they have.
Yeah,
I'll
comparison.
be successful like they're successful. I'll have a home like their home. I'll have, the business like they have, the lover like they have. And it's simply not true.
No, it's not. And not only that, but
you wouldn't be happy if you got it anyway.
It's true, right? Because
it's not what you're looking for.
It's not what you're looking for. I mean, it's easier always to look outward and kind of design your life based on what other people have. And I've recently woken up to this too. Now, I have awesome things on my vision board: cars, homes, experiences, and whatnot. But what I'm noticing is that maybe I really don't want those things after all. Maybe I'm convinced by popular culture, the advertising world, whatever, that I want those things. Maybe I've got what I want right now. Novel idea. You know, I mean, there's things I still want to create, but I think what happens is if we're constantly like who knows whether we want to be that person or whether we want to be our own selves. I mean, I kind of think that that when we tune into who we really are, that's where the real magic is. And anything looking outward, we can be inspired by that, but it can also, we have to differentiate between inspiration and copying.
So an example for me that I'll share is when I was in high school, one of my first cars was a Land Cruiser, like a Jeep style 3 on the tree Land Cruiser. So I was always that girl that could go off road, right? That was really important to me, was to be able to drive across the streams. Some of them were kind of rivers. I wanted to be able to have the freedom to go where I wanted to go. And that followed me through my whole life. And then I realized that there was something missing because I am a very fast processor, a fast thinker, a fast driver. I'm an aggressive driver. And I thought to myself, I really would like to have a fast car. That would be really incredible. And I think it would match with my personality. And I think it would just be an extension of who I am, really. And it would be so fun to have that experience. So over the course of my life, especially during my 30s, I had many, many opportunities to drive luxury, incredibly fast vehicles. And I would say 9 out of the 10 times I got frustrated because I couldn't see what was going on like ahead of me because I was so low to the ground. I didn't have the clearance to go over the curb if I got pissed off at the traffic that was ahead of me. I have no problems just bouncing that curb, right? But boom, it might be a small bit uncomfortable for my passenger, but for me, it's super comfortable. The other thing that I learned is when I was in those cars, the visibility out the back section of my car was very limited. So all I focused on was forward, 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 which is a whole different experience than what in totality I'm looking for. And so what I learned was I don't actually want the Lamborghini. I don't actually want it. What I want is some type of hybrid that will be an extension of me that's out there. It's out there somewhere. I just haven't set
I've got 2 suggestions for you, and I've probably mentioned this before. The Lamborghini Urus, which is a beautiful car, SUV style, but still Lamborghini, or this one, the Porsche Cayenne, the Macan version. That's super awesome.
All right, so I've got to put my bum in those cars and see how I feel.
Give them a test.
Yeah, so my point was that we do have to put ourselves in some of those scenarios, whether it's a physical, tangible scenario or, I've worked with men that want the trophy wife, the trophy girlfriend. They really want it. They're like, Tiff, I want that stunning woman where heads will turn when we walk into a restaurant, that when I make love to her, I feel like I'm on some amazing erotic porno. They want that. And then they get it because we all have the ability to have anything that we want in life. They get it. And you know what they say? Almost similar to me with the car is they say, I'm looking for some substance. I'm looking for the conversation, the early morning conversation over coffee that's very rich and deep and meaningful. And, I don't necessarily want meaningful sex. That's cool if I don't have the meaningful. I want the wham, bam. I want to just, have fun with that. But there's a balance there that I'd like to have the best of both worlds. And then they start over, right? Then they become...
right, they go back into the market, per se, and shop.
Right. Yeah, they go back in, to the market and they start looking at what's out there and what's available. And my job as a coach is to help them understand that there is a hybrid. There is the ability to have the perfect woman or man that has all of the characteristics that you're looking for. Remember when I was married and we had a bunch of children, we were looking for the perfect vehicle for that. And we had a dog. We wound up going with an excursion. So I believe it was a 2004 excursion, and we went in and there were certain things that my husband at the time said, we don't want this and we do want this. We want to add this. And they were able to tailor it to our exact needs. And I didn't realize at that age, I was young, I didn't realize that you could literally go in and Mr. Potato Head your vehicle. obviously that sounds silly now at our age. We know we can do that, but a lot of people still don't know they can do that with their partner, that they can do it with their business. You know, they can look at it and they can say, hey, these are my needs, wants, and desires. How do I create something that I grab from here and here and here and bring it all together so that I have exactly what I'm looking for?
Amen. Amen. That I couldn't agree more. A lot of people don't realize that it's possible. And I'll be the first to say it's not freaking easy sometimes, because you're walking on the inner path, and it's just like the hero's journey. The hero's journey isn't a walk in the fucking park, so to speak. It's challenging. That's why I think, and myself included, I've been here from times I'm like, Mark, why are you doing this? Why just go get a job, go get on the conveyor belt and go through life. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I've done that prior, and I don't fault anyone for doing that, but there's something you miss out on. You know, the reason we came here, to know ourselves, to find our gift. I think a lot about the Ikigai, and I found a new one called the Hedgehog Principle recently, based on Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here. I'm in like Flint.
You must have been. Okay, so it's
Are you not used to people listening to you?
I know, you were so intent. You were like frozen.
I am all there. We are making love right here on the Zoom call this morning on my birthday. I mean,
we're not doing 69 here. We're going face to face here. All right, here we are. So it's this called this Hedgehog Principle. Look it up after this, and it's these 3 concentric circles. And I hope I get this right. It's the circle of what you're good at, and what is valuable to the world, but also like passion. It's 3, whereas the Ikigai is 4. I forget the 4th one, but it's these 3 circles. It's called the Hedgehog Principle, Jim Collins, Good to Great. And it's another indicator of how people can find their passion and be valuable in the world, because that's where the happiness comes from too. But back to your point, you're right. I do agree that people get on that conveyor path. And I think a lot of it comes from conditioning when we're young. Okay, if you go to school, you're going to be on the path to get a job, and you're going to get a job, and everything's going to be on autopilot then. And that's just not how life works. It's soul killing.
I see a lot in relationships, young relationships, older relationships. It doesn't really matter where you're at in your life cycle, but people think that you can no longer purchase that experience that you're looking for perfectly hand tailored for you. It's almost like a lot of people don't know they can go get their clothes tailored. I know, because I'm my stature, I'm 5'2". I tend to be shorter. My arms are shorter, my legs are shorter, and I it's rare that I find clothes that fit me perfectly. And so I go and I have my great little Peter. He's a amazing little
tailor.
My tailor, and he's able to get it exactly to my specifications. So I've met a lot of people that have no idea, and I'm looking at them and their pants are 3 inches too long or too short or whatever it is, and they're settling for that. And I think it's not because they want to. I think it's because they haven't been educated. They don't understand that you can have the perfect fit, and that's what I'm looking for in life. I want that perfect fit. I mean, let's talk making love for a second. I've talked to a lot of women, and they're like, it's literally not perfect fit. It's painful every time, or it's not painful enough. So it doesn't really matter where you want to go with that. The point is, what is your perfect fit? I mean, some people, they want to feel stretched all the time. There are other people that don't want to feel that. That's not exciting for them, right? And so if you, and you know, of course I'm talking literally, but I'm also talking metaphorically. There are people, especially entrepreneurs, that want to be stretched all the time, right? They enjoy it. They enjoy that process of expanding, right? They want to be on the edge of their seat. They choose relationships and experiences that are going to push them to that feeling of insecurity, right? And we all know those relationships that push us into insecurity. Mm-hmm. And then we all know the ones that don't. And I've experienced them both. And I have to tell you that I really do enjoy being on the edge of my seat at all times in my relationships and having no freaking idea what's coming next. I'm okay with that. That's how I want to tailor my relationship. So look at yourself, right? And ask yourself, what's the experience that I'm looking for? And I think that's where we find clarity. if we don't spend the time to find clarity, to just sit down and say, hey, what do I want that experience to be like?
Absolutely.
I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was, in a dating relationship, and there were certain things that weren't going the way that she was going, and she wanted to push it, like to force it, to make it the way that she wanted it. And I said, why? So on the back end, then you can leave him? Because he's already showing you, not telling you, he's showing you he's not that guy. Why would you want to force it and push it so that then you can push him away at the end? There's just no point to that. Why not find the perfect fit from the beginning and let someone off the hook, literally, whether you're fishing with a dredge net or a single pole, but just catch and release. Yeah. I mean, that's the goal there. Is it's fun to catch. We all want to be caught and we all want to catch. That's exciting. But make the release fast and easy and painless when it's not the one. I mean, but then again, I guess some of us like to fish, and I love to feel something at the end of my pole.
Right.
Well, I want to feel that tug. I want to feel it.
Who doesn't, right? I mean, that makes life really juicy. But, it's kind of like, when you, this idea of punch your weight or whatever weight class you're in. And I'm talking like, metaphorically as well, but like if you come into a relationship and you're not kind of equally matched in a way that fits really nicely, it's hard to bring one person up or one person down. It's like you kind of got to be in the vicinity of one another, or else long term it's not going to work really well.
You just can't. If we're talking the physicality as a metaphor and literally,
emotionally, mentally,
that. What do you do?
You got to be close. You got to be close, and it's whole spectrum. All of it: emotionally, mentally, physically, looks. I mean, it's got to be pretty close, because otherwise, if it's too far off and one person really wants it and the other one's like, "Okay, well, I'll try it," it's just to bridge the gap is too far.
There was a totally dirty joke that I heard years and years ago, and the man goes into the tattoo parlor and he said, my girlfriend's really not happy with me, and he said, so I'd like to get this tattoo. And the guy goes, great, what would you like? And he goes, I'd like a tattoo of my dick on my dick 3 inches longer than my dick. And the tattoo artist looks at him and took him a few seconds to register what he was saying. And it's like, that's such a great metaphor for how's that going to work out for you? Yeah. How is that going to work out for you? It's not.
Exactly.
It's a useless 3 inches, folks. Right. Useless.
There's only so far. That's a perfect joke to illustrate. There's only so much you can do to bridge that gap, and then otherwise you just move on and get back in the market.
Right. And so I think that, as we move into this new, wonderful, exciting space that we're in right now, it's important to stay focused on what you're interested in, stay away from the distractions, the media, the friends, the people that are living in fear, right? There's a lot of fear going on right now. And how do you shift from fear to passion? How do you move from fear to passion? And it can be quite simple if you just say, hey, okay, so take someone in a relationship. I'm afraid that I might not find the one. Okay, well, let's just get juicy and passionate about what that one looks like, tastes like, feels like. What does their laugh sound like? Let's just talk about that for a while. And if we can stay in that, if let's say that you had a yoga studio and all of a sudden people aren't able to come because of the COVID, right? They've put so many restrictions on a lot of the yoga studios. Well, some of them are adapting beautifully and they're going 100% online, and they're amazed at the support that they're getting from not just their own community, but people that would have never, ever gone to yoga before, but now feel safe and confident. I mean, I work with someone out in Santa Barbara, and her studio has just freaking exploded.
Awesome.
Because people are enjoying the Amazon Prime of the yoga world, where they can do naked yoga if they like and make it really fun. Or they wake up and their makeup's, all crazy on their face and their hair's wild, and it's at a weird hour like 5:30, and they get the replay, right? They get access to those. And these studios are making more money than other. And then you have another percentage of the studios that are going under, and it's with heavy hearts and lots of tears that they're going under. And it's only because they haven't the consciousness to adapt and to innovate with 2020.
Yeah. And I find it, we've got to embrace what we've got. I mean, the opportunity, like I think about these, these Zoom calls and these ability to connect. I mean, so we can't maybe have large meetings of people, or so we can't go and do the things we used to do. You got to work with what you got, right? You got to make the most of what you got. And it's
yeah, it's a really awesome opportunity if you decide to pull up a chair.
Yeah, it's a mindset. It's like, because life can still be exciting. It's always going to be exciting if you want it to be exciting, if you're looking for opportunities. Again, I think it's amazing what we can do with technology these days. We didn't skip a beat. It's like, let's connect with more people. Relationships are getting deeper. Connections are getting deeper. We're learning more about other people. It's like it's all how you frame it.
So this is what I'd like to leave everyone with. Life is exciting when you're exciting. Life is sexy when you're sexy. Life is beautiful when you're being beautiful. Life is kind when you're kind. And life is prosperous when you are living in a prosperous mindset. So find those attributes that you're looking for, maybe write them down, and then ask yourself how you can be that. Now, a lot of people say, how can I be prosperous? Well, I'm prosperous. Right behind me is a garden. I've got a ton of zucchini popping up. I have plums. I'm eating them like candy every single day. And so I can say that I am incredibly prosperous. And I can also say that I feel sexy and sexual, and I feel exciting, and I feel fun, and I feel funny, and I feel all of these things. And so that happens to be funneled into my life at all times because I'm matching that vibration. I'm being that vibration. And so when you see something that you're not happy with in your life, one of the things I hear a lot of people say that's really funny is they're like, they're so boring. And I'm like, they're not boring. You're boring.
Yeah.
You are boring.
Yeah, we attract what we are, right?
Yeah. Or they'll say, that's depressing. It's so depressing. And I'm like, you're depressing. Have you heard anything that just came out of your mouth the last 30 minutes? You are depressing.
Right.
Like, the media is depressing. It's really rare that we have an outlet that is providing us with things that make us feel great or make us feel healthy, right? Because there's so many things. Like right now I'm sitting in the sun and I feel healthy, and I'm drinking my champagne because it's my birthday. Now I know that this is not the proper champagne glass, but I thought that I would be low profile for this Zoom meeting.
You should have brought a real glass. That would have been classic.
Next time, Mark. Next time. I may pop it for you.
Oh, that's awesome. That is a great way to end this. I am so glad you said that. Those things have been on my mind exactly as you said it. Such a great ending. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. All right. Well, until next time, have an awesome day and happy birthday.
All right. Stay sexy, Mark.
I'll try.
All right.
Bye.
Over now. Bye.